Welcome back to the podcast. We are your hosts, Kim and Aaron. We are healthcare travelers and the creators of Travsessed. And let me be the first to wish you a happy New Year 2025.
And me.
Okay, and Kim.
Happy New Year.
And we are going to get into this week's show right now.
Okay, so we're recording this on New Year's Day.
Whoop.
That's insane. Mm-hmm. It's 2025.
1125.
It's 2025.
I know. Well, wasn't it funny that I just literally was like, we were doing our kind of just talking this morning, and it was like, so in 5 years, in 2030, and it just like hit me. I was like, holy crap, we're halfway through a generation.
So
a decade. Sorry.
So in 5 years, I'll be 43.
Wow.
And you'll be 47.
Holy.
No.
Wow.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't want to talk about this. This stuff makes me depressed. Dude, I don't like thinking about that.
I'll be 3 years away from the big 5-0. That's 50.
Can we not talk about this?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I don't know, something, yeah.
Something hits different.
Dude, that hit real different. I don't think I've ever said that.
You're so far from that.
I'm freaking 8 years away.
But also, okay, because we're like, 5 years, like it goes so fast, but also like so much life happens in that time, right? Like thinking about, it's 2025, right? Like we started traveling in 2012. And so it's like, it's easy to say like in passing, like, oh yeah, we've been traveling 13 years. And it seems like, oh my gosh, it's 13 years, it's flown by, right? Yeah. But in reality, 13 years lived, like, holy crap. Like it seems like it goes by fast in retrospect. Mm-hmm. But when you're like, look at everything that's happened in 13 years. Like,
no, I
agree.
Right? So, well, look at what's happened in the last 5. If you want to take that from 2020. We were just watching our New Zealand videos.
Oh my God.
From 2020.
Right. Which is so funny. So we watched our New Zealand series last night just for fun, like inspo, because our next trip we're hosting is New Zealand. And so like, ooh, let's go back and like watch our series. We rented a van. We traveled all over New Zealand for like a month, 2020. So, P.S. let me just say, if you're listening to this, there is one spot left for Peru.
Oh, good call.
It's Thursday, so one spot left for Peru. Come on, let's fucking go.
Let's go.
So go sign up right now at Travsessed.com. Okay, so we're watching the New Zealand series, and it's funny because in the video, I'm coughing. I said I had bronchitis. I had the flu. I was tested for the flu. It was our last day of last week of our contract. I went home sick, was tested positive for the flu, also had quote unquote bronchitis. And it was February 17th of 2020. And I'm like, I didn't even know it, but I had fucking COVID.
Yeah.
I remember being on the plane and flying to New Zealand and just being like, oh my, I literally cannot breathe. And I kept saying like, I got that bronchitis. I got that. And it was probably COVID.
Well, and
we didn't even know it was about to happen.
They weren't testing for COVID.
Well, COVID wasn't a thing. It was before that.
It was stewing, right? Like there was a lot of stew, but I think like you were bed rested for 2 or 3 days, which no matter how sick you've ever gotten in 16 years I've known you, you've never been bed rested.
No.
And like, so yeah, it was more severe than a flu.
Right. So just watching those videos of like, that was right before the world shut down. Yeah. And it's funny, so we're starting our year of travel, New Zealand. And we had no idea we would be home in a month. leaving New Zealand right before the borders closed, and how much all of our lives were about to change. Like we had zero idea that was about to happen. And that's crazy to think that was 5 years ago. And look at what has happened in 5 years. And we didn't know, hiking Tongariro Crossing, hiking Hooker Track, like all these like things, Abel Tasman, all these things that we're watching the video in New Zealand, right, of us there 5 years ago, having absolutely no clue that in 5 years we would be hosting a Travsessed trip with 14 other travelers, taking them to New Zealand based on that itinerary that you and I did for that month. No clue. Travsessed Adventures wasn't even an inkling in our little mind.
We were YouTubers.
I know.
Okay, that's even funnier. We literally set out on our New Zealand trip and our trip around the world, again, like Kim said, not knowing COVID was going to happen, but to go to every Orange Theory in like the country that it is. So like Orange Theory is like, they're all over the world. And so there was like 26 Orange Theories in 26 different countries. There's obviously a lot more. There's like 4 in France and 7 in Spain or whatever it is. We were just going to hit 1 in each country. And it was a way to map out our trip around the world. And we were going to film it with the liking of like, ooh, maybe Orange Theory will pick up on this. Maybe it'll have more of a hook and a grab and a whatever. And so that was our vision.
Can I just say, I am so glad.
Me too.
Like, I freaking hate Orange Theory.
I know.
Because I hate running on a treadmill. Like, so glad that phase is over.
I still like Orange Theory.
I know. Well, you don't mind the running. That for me, I don't mind Orange Theory. I just do not like spending that much time on a treadmill. It's like absolute torture for me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we moved out of that phase. But yeah, it's just so wild to think that all that's happened in a 5-year span of time. So in 5 years, God, we'll look back and be like, oh my gosh, like we were, sitting in Parker in our apartment and this and that and all the things like that we have planned and we're excited about and seeing that come to fruition over the next 5 years. It's just, time is a weird thing. But speaking of Travsessed trips, I guess it's kind of all encompassing. But last night, last night we went to dinner with basically a bunch of people we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And it brought up feelings about how people feel coming into our trips. So I guess just like a quick backstory. So there's a couple, Derek and Jessica, who we absolutely love. We met them in Greece 3 years ago. Again, no clue we'd be hosting Travsessed Greece, right? Like no clue, but that itinerary inspired Travsessed Greece itinerary. Crazy, right? No clue. We were YouTubers. We were doing a YouTube series.
I know. And about to launch our backpacks.
Oh my God, stop. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. So we signed up for a wine tour.
At 9:30 in the morning.
Worst mistake.
I was so mad at Kim.
Like, what were we thinking?
I was like, who books a wine tour for 9:30 in the morning? Like, I like Greek wine. I don't like it that much. Like,
I think, didn't we go out the night before? So I think we are also a little bit hungover. Like, we were kind of like, the last thing I want to do is wake up and go drink wine.
Yeah, we did a food tour, and then we met people on the food tour, and then we did a rooftop.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, that was in Athens.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, that was in Athens.
No, we met the food tour people after dinner and went to that little bar.
Yeah.
And ended up having cocktails until like 1 in the morning.
Yep, that's right. Okay, right.
That's what it was.
So we were like, dude, the last thing I want to do is wake up and go on a wine tour. Like, no. So we almost canceled, but we had paid for it. It was like too late. We weren't going to get our money back. So we're like, oh, and that was the other thing because it was a group wine tour. So we were like, it wasn't even just like going and drinking wine. It was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, I don't want to be in a freaking bus filled with people I don't know, having to make conversation. Like, just, we were not in the mood. And I remember like standing out there waiting for the freaking bus to come, and we see it coming and there's people in it. And we were
the last to get picked up.
Oh, we're like, damn it. What were we thinking? And I think we were even like, I'm not like going to talk to anyone. Like,
that's what I said.
Yeah, like we're not going to speak to a soul.
I said, don't make me speak to anybody, and like just know that like I don't want to have conversations with anyone.
Yeah, like packed. Like we shook on it.
Yeah.
And so we get in, whatever, and we end up meeting Derek and Jessica. And they're huge travelers. They're, basically they were nomads. They are entrepreneurs, like very, very like-minded. So we connected instantly.
Roughly the same age.
Yep. We connected instantly. And it was just like one of those, like when you just meet people that you're like, dude, these are my people, and you have so much to talk about. Like we went from like, we're not saying a peep to one person to not being able to shut up.
Exactly. It's funny how the extreme and how the big of a wall I built up to then like they just saying hi, and their energy, their smile, their openness just literally melted that wall. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
And it was like to the point where we were all talking so much. And again, we were on a group tour. There was a guide, and he's like teaching us about the wine. And we're like, bro, can you zip it? Can you go sit over there? Because you're interrupting our conversation. Like, we had no time for the wine tour. Like, we just wanted it to be the four of us. We had way too much to talk about to hear anything about the wine.
Yeah. Well, mind you, we never said that to the wine tour guide, but he did ask us if he would like us, if we would like it if he explained the wine, or do we just want to continue our conversation? Yeah, and we were like, we'll just,
those people.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. And yeah, we ended up going to dinner with them and just talking and talking and talking. Like, they were just like, how you have like those soul friendship connections where you don't know each other, but there's something that you just instantly connect and feel comfortable, and just, I don't know, there was just something there. And then we continued traveling, and they, big entrepreneurs, so they knew we were launching the backpacks, and they ended up like getting us a really nice hotel. It's funny, I was just thinking about that. That moment honestly was one of the life-changing moments within myself. And like, we met them on a wine tour, we had dinner with them, as Kim just said, and then we talked about our entrepreneurial journey and what was going on, and we had to leave Greece because we decided that we needed to be settled as the backpacks were launching. And so we knew that they had all arrived to Amazon from our manufacturer, and then it was like go time. And so we weren't very clear on like where we were going to stay in Portugal, and we were walking around and we were looking for long-term rentals. Like, what? Like, do you remember that? We went to a realtor realtor office. Yeah. Like, what? Why would we go to a realtor's office? I think we were because we had heard that Lisbon was like really great for digital nomads, or like nomads, whatever, like people wanting to stay long term, or like the rent was really cheap, and it was just like a really good place for people to go that worked remotely, low cost of living. And we were looking for a place to stay, and everything was so expensive. And so I'm like, why are people saying it's freaking cheap to live? Like, it's so expensive. And so doing more research, I realized that it was like longer term rentals were really cheap. And so we couldn't find anything on Airbnb, or it was so expensive. So we were going to rental offices to see about finding like a 3-month lease, or just something that we could get into that was cheaper, as opposed to this Airbnb month to month. So that was kind of like that. Yeah.
So then we basically get a text from Derek and Jessica, and they were like, have you guys found a place in Portugal yet? And we're like, no, we haven't. And they're like, well, stop looking right now, and we want you to go to this address tomorrow. And we ended up getting you guys the weekend at this hotel. and it was a 5-star,
So nice.
gorgeous hotel, beautiful room, gym, breakfast, all of it, and said, your entrepreneurial life is going to have its ups and downs. And so really just take this time, rest up, enjoy, because life's about to get crazy. And I get emotional like thinking about it. Like, to meet somebody on a wine tour, to have a connection. Yes, the connection was real. But for them to just reach out and do that for us, who were basically strangers.
The kindness, the thoughtfulness.
Oh.
And they also knew, because this was also another year of travel. 3 years later from the New Zealand trip that was supposed to be our year of travel, this was our next year of travel, which ended up being like 3 months.
Post-COVID. COVID held us down. Back to our year of travel.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We need to put that on a t-shirt, like year of travel, and just cross out year. Like, it's never a year.
Yeah.
But they knew we were on our year of travel and that we were on a budget and, getting ready to launch, and we were feeling some stress around that and all the things that go into launching a new product. And so they wanted to pay for a very nice place so that we could just have those couple of days to be fully relaxed and feel taken care of. And I cried. Like, we both were just like, wow, like the genuineness, the thoughtfulness, the kindness, and like just to be able to do that for somebody. I would love to be able to do that for somebody.
Yeah.
And that's a hotel we would have never stayed at ourselves. It was expensive. And again, we thought we were traveling for a year, so we were trying to be conservative with our money, and so it's like just to splurge like that. And it was just the most kind thing. And such a testament to the kind of people they are.
Yeah.
And so
I just want to say, it just inspired me to like want to reach that level and also be able to return that.
Do that
right?
for someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In a multiple ways.
Yeah.
Multiple times, multiple ways, not just one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, live my life like that.
100%. And how something like that for them is no big deal. We didn't know this at the time, but they're like insanely wealthy, because he created like a huge business that basically like wrote the software for texting lines for businesses, which we've used.
Yeah.
Just incredibly smart, incredibly successful. Again, we had no idea at the time. We know them now, Anyways, but yeah, so for them it was no big deal. But for us, it was like, what? Like, it was huge. So yeah, to be able to pass that off to somebody else, like, and it was just very, very inspiring. And so this was 3 years ago. They were bouncing all over the world trying to figure out, where do we want to live? And they were just like traveling. He had stepped down from being CEO and was basically just like built his business for 15 years in the entrepreneurial grind. Like, she's an entrepreneur, she's a copywriter, like online courses, wrote a book, podcast, all the things. And they were just like taking this time to just go travel and like explore the world and figure out where they wanted to live. And which is also like,
I know. No, I was just going to say, it's like they ended up settling on a place in Croatia, and then we're looking for a 6-month home in the US.
Yeah. So we didn't live in the same place. Oh, and then I forgot about this, but he invited us to his 40th birthday party in Florida where we could like fly with them. This is when we were like, what? Like, on their private jet? And we were like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
well, he rented.
on a
It's
yacht?
not his. He rented.
Oh yeah, right. They had a jet and like going on their yacht, and like they wanted to introduce us to
their group of friends.
Yeah, and we were like, we just couldn't do it at the time. It was like too much logistics.
Well, and it wasn't like a fee. It was like, just join us in Fort Lauderdale at this airport, and we're gonna fly to Miami on this private jet, and then hop on like a yacht.
Yeah, I'm like,
for the day.
Who are these people?
And you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah. So we stayed in touch for years. Like, didn't live in the same place, didn't see each other again, but we would always like connect, like through WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp group like that. We would always like, we just stayed connected with them over the years. And then long story short, or not really, long story long, Erran and I are in Parker in Denver, right? And we were talking in WhatsApp.
Can I jump into this? So the one thing that I remembered was we took that trip to Greece and met them in October, at the beginning of October. And he invited us for his birthday party around Black Friday. And so I remember that his birthday is on that weekend. The exact day I can't actually remember. And so we get to Parker and it's around Thanksgiving. And I had this thought of like, oh, shit, it's Derek's birthday. Like sometime this week. So I want to reach out and just say, hey buddy, happy birthday. I hope it's well. Hope you're doing well. And kind of just check in with him. Mm-hmm. And so we had sent him a 40th birthday video message from the winery we met at, and we did it during our Greece trip that we were running. Mm-hmm. And so Jessica had made a 40th birthday compilation for him from all of his friends to say, you know, happy birthday, buddy, and kind of what he means to us and things like that, like a little birthday message. So he reached out and said, hey man, I just saw and how crazy it is from that winery that we met at, and like what a great day and blah, blah, blah. Where are you guys at? And I said, oh man, I just started a contract in Parker, Colorado, just south of Denver. And then...
Yeah, and they're not like on social media, right? So Jessica used to be, but then she's...
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she's like got rid of the app, like just not really...
Really?
Yeah, like doing social media stuff. So it's not like we follow each other along on social media, right? Anymore. I used to follow Jessica, but like whatever. So they moved, bought a home, which again, nomads, okay? We all, like, that's a huge commitment to buy a home in Washington Park, which is a neighborhood in Denver, which, side note, I had a vision board on my phone.
On your home screen.
On my home screen, that was a house in Washington Park because we fell in love with that neighborhood. Like that was one of the first neighborhoods that we went to when we got to Denver. And there's like, it's a neighborhood with like beautiful homes and beautiful walkable streets with trees, but it has restaurants and cafes and a beautiful park. Like it's a neighborhood within a city, but you don't feel like you're in a city, but you are. Like we were like, this is the vibe, right? Like this is it.
And the homes have character.
Oh, they're old, which I love. It's like, it's giving New England. Oh, God. It's giving New England, but with a Colorado twist because of the beautiful Christmas trees. And it just, we stayed in an Airbnb when we came to Denver, I guess last year for the summer.
July, yeah.
And we were like you just felt it. Like I'm like, this is where I could see ourselves. Like the homes have backyards, you know, so it's like everything that we want. And then we went to this place called the Green Collective and we walked there and it's like smoothies and juices and like coffee and salads and like all
healthier like sandwiches.
Yeah. Like my kind of place. And yours, but definitely like a place like I would go and
But here's the thing. If you said...
let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So we go there and I'm like, oh, I love this place. And then I go to the bathroom and there's like a Pilates studio in the back. And I just had this vision. I'm like, dude, I can see myself walking from my home, doing a Pilates class, coming in here, grabbing a juice with my computer and like working. And like, I could just like see it and like feel it. I'm like, I just like, oh, I want it, you know?
Not to mention, number one, if you said to me right now, let's go to the Green Collective, I would say yes.
Yes, let's go.
No, we're not going.
Aww.
We could go to Washington Park. Go walk around Washington Park.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. But there's also my favorite sushi restaurant is there. Sushi Den. And just all the restaurants now, Perdita, which is like where we meet Derek and Jessica a lot for lunch, dinner, whatever. That's there. There's just so much around there. And that little coffee shop that had money from all around the world framed.
Oh my God, it was like a little cozy cottage.
It was like signs all over the place.
We're like, this is our neighborhood, this is our neighborhood. So the home that I had on my home screen was a brick bungalow, which we love a bungalow.
Front porch. Backyard.
It was in that neighborhood on the street that they bought a home on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you guys are living our life, our dream life. Like, what?
They're setting a template.
Yeah. Showing us what's possible. So anyways, they're like, oh my gosh, like they live 20 minutes away from us. Now, granted, we have not seen each other since Greece, right? We met one time in real life, okay? Which is so funny how there's some people in your life that you feel like you've known them forever. They're like your best friends, but you're like, legit, we've hung out one time in real life, right? Which is so weird how that is. So, but they're like, oh my God, like we got to get together. So we end up going and having lunch with them at Parita in our neighborhood and just reconnecting with them. And they're just such incredible humans, and they're really, really good at connecting people. They're like hosts, you know, like they're like, let us, because we're new to the area. And we want to meet people and we want to have like community here. And like, they're very much like, let me introduce you to like people I know you guys will connect with other entrepreneurs. Like their friend group are like high level, like like big time.
Yeah.
Right. Let us in, like, so you guys can meet other cool people in the area. And so we ended up going to dinner with them and like 2 other couples that we didn't know.
After the lunch.
Yeah. After the lunch. And so this kind of circles back to last night, and they invited us to go. They got a table at Safta.
Oh,
it's okay. Mediterranean.
If you're ever in Denver, it's in the Rhino neighborhood. It's called Safta. It is a mix of Israeli, Turkey, Greek, and Serbian. So I was reading and it was like it's all Middle Eastern combined with little bits and pieces from each country. With wood-fired homemade pita.
No, that pita was the best.
That mushroom hummus.
Had. I didn't even have that. I was too distracted.
You didn't have the mushroom hummus?
No. I know I was talking too much. That's what happens when I'm with people. It's funny because the first thought I was like, I want to come back here with just you and me and just strictly go for the food. Because when I'm with people, even though the food's amazing, I tend to not like even eat that much. Because like, you know, when you're like talking and then you're like trying to shovel food in your, like it just doesn't work. So I end up like the food's an afterthought where like I want to go back to this place where I wear my sweatpants and it's just like I'm there to eat.
I mean, it's much appreciated. I would go with you. But that's definitely not a sweatpants.
No, it's a nice place.
Yeah, it's fancy.
It's like an elevated Mediterranean place.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they got a table there and they were like, we want to invite you guys. It's going to be other couples. And I think it'll be a really great time. I think you guys will enjoy it. You'll get to meet new people and, you know, yada, yada, yada. So at first we were like, we said yes, like when they invited us, which was like a month ago. So we're like, yeah, 100%, like, let's do it. And so yesterday I started to get really nervous. And because yesterday was New Year's Eve, that was when we were going to dinner. And I was like second guessing it. I'm like, oh gosh, like why did we say yes? Like I feel like all of our social things we've been doing, which are great, like because we're getting out of our comfort zone and we're meeting new people, which is what we love and like what we want to do. But also it's a lot of energy when you're meeting new people and you're not fully relaxed. At least I'm not. And I was like, I just want to like be relaxed. I just want to like go to dinner with you and just like shoot the shit. And like, I don't feel like having to like, you know, how it is like when you meet new people, asking questions, telling different stories you've told a million times. Like there's a lot that goes into new people versus just like going to dinner with like friends you already know. And you just you know what I mean? So it's a different vibe. So I'm like, why did we do this? Oh, maybe we shouldn't go. Maybe we shouldn't go. We got to drive. We got to do this. And I was almost like psyching myself out about it. And then I started to just feel like frustrated that we were going. And I was like asking myself, like, why do you feel this way? Is it because in your gut you're feeling like you shouldn't go, right? For whatever reason, you get those gut feelings where it's like you just shouldn't go. Or is it something else? And like when I was kind of digging into it, it was more like I was just nervous. And
Is that what it was?
I was I felt nervous to go into a group of, like, we know Derek and Jessica, the other couple that we met at the dinner.
Canceled.
Who we really liked, who like, she's a huge podcaster, speaker, like just incredible high vibe, like
energy is like just like draws.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And she's like a big deal, you know, like in her industry. And so we vibed with her at lunch. We're actually going to be doing like a VIP day with her where she kind of like helps you like strategize like in your business and blah, blah, blah. Just hit it off. They weren't going to go. Their kid was sick. So we were going in like meeting new people.
Well, except Nick and Hannah.
And Hannah. Yeah, we did meet them.
Which was nice that they were coming because then we knew Derek and Jessica, Nick and Hannah.
But we don't know them well. And also there were going to be other people we didn't know at all. So I was just like, oh, I don't really feel like doing this, whatever. And so I was nervous to walk in and meet a bunch of new people. And what I was thinking about with our Travsessed groups is I had and I've always felt this, but for some reason it felt really clear because I'm always like, get out of your comfort zone, meet new people, like, come on. And while it's not always easy to do, right? And people who come on our trips, they're showing up alone. It's a lot of solo travelers because I was thinking, I have you. Like, I'm not showing up alone, walking in and being like, I don't know anybody. Here I am. It's a vulnerable place, right? To walk in and not know people. And you just show up, you know, and like I have you, and I was still nervous, but like how people feel on our trips of like they're flying across the world alone, a lot of them. They don't know one person, and they just show up and they walk into a group of 10, right? Because it's different to walk into like a group of 3, right? It's a bigger group of people, and they show up and they put themselves out there and they're vulnerable, and it's like, you're uncomfortable. You're just uncomfortable at first. And you kind of maybe feel a little bit insecure. Like you want to be yourself, but you're with a group of different personalities. And some people have big personalities, and you're trying to like find your way and like ask questions and like, you know, and I just had this like deep, inspired respect and like love for the people who show up on our trips and like how brave they are of just like showing up and just being like, I'm here. And you end up becoming very comfortable very quick. But that first initial walking into a group of people you don't know is very intimidating. And I felt that last night. But then as soon as we got there, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean...
That was like very long-winded because I felt like I had so many thoughts, but like...
Yeah, well, hello. I'm here with you.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I like to chat a little bit too.
I know, but I was trying to get the thought out.
Because now I'm like there was so many things that I wanted to share about in that, you know. So let's play catch, love. Let's play some catch. So let's see, where really wanted to hit on the fact that like when you're talking about that, about the people on our trips, it like triggers in my gut that like we went to dinner in which we drove our Jeep 20 minutes to a dinner. We parked it, we got out, we walked in, and we knew 4 out of the 7, a high percentage, right? Don't know them in depthly, but like know them enough that like, well, I guess not, because I actually confused Nick with the guy that I didn't know, which was quite embarrassing because I gave his wife a hug and said, how was New York? And she was like, we weren't in New York. I think you got the wrong person. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It was actually hilarious. And they were twins. So like I thought it was them too.
They do look alike.
They were twins.
Even the wives like resent. They have like similarities, right?
But the guys are twins. They're not.
One
They're
has
friends.
a beard and one has a mustache. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
So it was funny. But
It's a good icebreaker.
It was a good icebreaker, which kind of opened it up a little bit. But like the fact that people pay a lot of money to fly across the world for an experience that they are excited about, they don't know anyone, and they show up into these groups. Like, there is so much more respect I have for that, because it's easy for us to be like, of course, let's go. It's going to be amazing, right? But you miss that realness of like what that takes to do. And that is so powerful, and it speaks to the people that come on our trips.
100%.
And their personalities and who they are as people. And that is so inspiring, and so other people that I would want to put myself with. Even if that's something that I can't do, knowing that that's what other people are doing allows them to rub off on me a little bit.
Yeah. It is. It puts it in perspective too. And it was such a small thing, but I don't feel like we've been in a place that we've kind of been putting ourselves out there socially to like be meeting a lot of new people. It's been recent since we've been to Denver. And so it's been bringing that up, because even on our trips, a lot of times we don't know people.
Yeah.
But so it's the same for us.
But they know of us.
But right. And like we're the hosts, right? So it is a different kind of a feeling. It's a different kind of a role. Like, we're just not showing up on a trip, right? Like, and so we've talked to like the people that are coming on our trip, whether it's just through email or through whatever, but there's some sort of a connection. So it is a little bit different, because it's crazy to say like we don't meet new people, because we meet so many new people on every single Travsessed trip. But I don't know, for some reason it feels different than us going in and meeting like a bunch of new people just kind of.
I think it's more because it's more personal.
Yeah, it's vulnerable. And so I don't know. I guess it just, for some reason, I just really felt that yesterday, and it just like put it into perspective of like having this, not that I'm not aware of it, but just having this new, because my biggest goal as a host, right? Hosting trips. And I think Derek and Jessica do this so well, because they essentially, quote unquote, hosted this dinner. They brought these people together, right? And they're so good. Even when we went to dinner with the other couples, that they invited us. They're all friends, right? They're all a friend group. Erran and I are the ones who don't know anybody, right? So that adds another element, because you're not walking into like a bunch of people who also don't know each other, which I guess is kind of our trip. Nobody really knows each other. Sometimes some people do. But like, they all know each other. They're all really good friends. We're the new people coming in. They have established relationships. But Derek and Jessica are like very good at like bringing up conversation to make us feel welcome. And to bring in the group. So how did you guys get into this? How long, they're so good at bringing in that group conversation to make everybody feel relaxed and welcome and comfortable.
Well, and on top of that, number one, I wanted to say, I didn't feel the same way as Kim. So I didn't want that to be like a...
You don't have social anxiety as much as I do.
Weirdly, right? Like, I don't. Like, there's more... I think Mel Robbins changed my life when she said that your body doesn't know the difference between nerves and excitement. It's your brain that tells it how to react, because the reactions within your body are the same. And so, like, for me, like, yeah, I could go down a nervous path of like, maybe I don't know what to say. Maybe like I'm just going to sit there. Maybe I'm not going to fit in. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm this. Maybe I'm that. But like, I'm like, dude, I'm excited to sit around and talk to new people, and especially people who are high earning, high level entrepreneurs, and they're married and they're couples and they work together, and it just fits, right? Like, there's so much similarity there, and there's so much commonality, which I think is another point to add to our trips. healthcare travelers, right? There's a connection there. So kind of like how we were. We didn't know all of these people, but they're entrepreneurial. They're a couple. And so there's like a yin and a yang and a mix there's like an icebreaker there that Derek and Jessica, who are so good at it, are almost like they're making us feel they're bringing the conversation inclusive, but they're also like really good hype people. So that makes you feel like, wow, like this, like listening to them talk, like introducing Kim and I and like all the things that we've done. It was almost like being introed into a podcast. You're just like, wow, like, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's through their eyes. And it was cool.
So, right. And so I was getting at, because they're such great hosts of making people feel comfortable and like they're so friendly and welcoming. Like I want to infuse even more of that as being a host on our trips. Oh, and going back real quick, I'll circle back to that, but how we were talking about, I always get more nervous and have like more social anxiety than you do, even with our trips. Like I'm always the one, and I'm always like pooping my pants and like, I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh. Like, and you're like, it's cool, bro, calm down. But like, it's the anticipation for me. I always get so nervous. And because you never know really what to expect. But then I'm also like, as soon as I'm in it, I always feel comfortable. And but like I always get worked up much.
Would you say I'm reverse?
Ooh, yeah. That's
funny.
I get so nervous leading up, but then once I'm in it, I'm relaxed. I find my flow. I'm like, this is awesome. I love everybody. And then you're almost like not nervous at all, but then you get into it and then you almost become like
I can't
anxious.
Yeah.
It's an opposite.
That's really weird.
I'd rather be my way, honestly.
I love the initial, like, the hug, nice to meet you. Oh my gosh, welcome, so exciting, like here, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, I show them to their rooms and I like being that host kind of like welcome. Like that actually gets me very excited. Just like if we were ever coming out on stage, I like the entrance. Like it's fun to me, right? But like then it's like, uh-oh. And that's funny how we're the total opposite, because the minute people show up and they're settled and they come back downstairs, you're like lounging by the pool.
Yeah, that's right.
Like chill. Like, and I'm like, uh-oh. Now it's real, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. But what I was saying about being a host is that that's always been something that's very important to both of us, right? Like, is creating an environment where you're very aware that people, like, they don't feel completely comfortable with each other yet. They don't know each other yet. And so we've always wanted to set the tone from the very beginning of creating this connection as quickly as we can as strangers, right? And making people feel comfortable, connected, welcomed, involved, right? Like it's something that's always been at the forefront of the creation of Travsessed, right? Like we never wanted to create, which is why we've always done smaller groups. We've never wanted to create a group of like 25 people where it's like, there's no way you're all going to connect. Like, and I think that's why people are always like, you feel like a family by the time you leave, because there's just like this connection piece. And I think we're really good at fostering that as hosts. And, we go around the group and we do the Travsessed questions, and it's like a really great icebreaker for people to be able to talk and get to know each other. But I want to even like up level being a host, and I don't know, like just really being conscious of the fact that like how people feel in these initial moments, and like how can I try to create the most welcoming environment where people can feel at ease. The faster the better.
Okay, so I have a question.
What?
I understand, and this is what I love about both you and I and us as a couple as well, is we're always looking for ways to improve. As people, in a relationship, as a husband and wife, as a business owner, as a professional, whatever. But like, I feel like our trips are so successful because of that skill. Mm-hmm. So when you're speaking how you're speaking, I understand what you're saying about wanting to improve, but what I just think we are very good at that.
Yeah.
And so, like, what levels would you improve? What are you looking at specifically?
I think it just, I haven't felt out of my comfort zone socially in a long time, right? Again, even on our trips, but it's a different dynamic. I don't know. Like, I feel, even though I don't know people, I'm getting to know people. So I feel like, what? Why'd you do that?
Well, I think there's a difference. If I'm stepping out of my world, that I know to be comfortable, and putting myself even at a dinner in the same city I live in, is different than if I invited friends to my home. And I believe taking that same concept with our trips, even though we are not in our home, these places feel like home to us. So we're very comfortable there and feel comfortable as hosts and leaders
Right.
to lead people around this country. So there
You
is
asked
a
me
level.
a question, so I was answering
No, I know.
it.
But when you said stepping out of your comfort zone, I was thinking that, like, that. Yes, it's a comfort zone per se, but that is kind of a good thing to do as well.
What's a good thing?
It's good that we're comfortable in those environments because we
Oh.
are the leaders.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
But I'm saying because of that and feeling that way that I haven't felt in a while, like, it brought up the feeling that I know a lot of other travelers feel walking into a Travsessed trip. That initial feeling, right?
Oh, okay.
And so it brought that to the surface of, like, wow, okay, like, I'm feeling how a lot of other people feel coming on our trip. So being aware of that, like, go, and again, I don't know, like, because I do feel like we're very good at, bringing the group together pretty quickly. But I think just even being more hyper aware of, like, compassionate, but also, like, there's always people in groups that have these, like, big personalities, and they can kind of just talk, and they can, like, get in there very quickly. And there's other people who are a little bit more quiet and, don't feel as comfortable being as loud or as boisterous. And so just kind of being more aware of, I can get lost in conversations because I love talking to people, and it's like I can get lost in conversations and I can go on and on and on with certain people for a long time and not realizing, like, hey, like, maybe there's a couple other people that are a little bit more quiet over there. Like, how can I make them feel more welcome? How can we bring the group back, right? Because again, like, of course there's going to be, like, side conversations happening, and we love that too, right? People have connections and they get to know each other and blah blah blah. But, like, also, like, in those moments of, like, okay, let's bring the group back. Because every time we have these group conversations, or we take out our, Travsessed after dark questions, or a stranger danger, or any of that, it, like, always brings the group in. And you always feel more connected. So I guess, just to answer your question, just being even more aware than I have been of, like, my role here as the host is to create a really fun, connective environment for people. And how can I be even more welcoming? How can I be even more inclusive and open to everybody? And obviously you can only go so far. Some people are just more quiet, and, like, that's okay, and they're fine with that. But I think just being more aware.
Yeah, totally. And I think I think the word for me that I take away from this is more compassion. To, like, understanding that not everybody is the same, and that people might feel a little bit more anxious or overwhelmed, and they might need a little bit more time to warm up, and they're fine. Or they're like me, and, like, they like the excitement of the meeting, and then the after effect is what makes them anxious. So I think I'm seeing it from so many different points of view, because I also believe that there are people that like being around people, do not need to be the star of the show, and actually enjoy sitting back and listening, and they're completely fine with it. And it's actually entertaining to them, and it's fun, and it's comfortable, and it feels good to be surrounded by people that steal the show, right? Which I think is really cool. And I think just being able to check in with them and be like, you good? Like, everything all right? Like, you having fun? Blah, blah, blah. Awesome. Like, having that one-on-one conversation, and just knowing that, like, yeah.
Which I think we do. But I don't know.
Well, I kind of wanted to talk too of, like, I think it's been,
I don't know what you were going to say, but I just wanted to finish up that kind of circling it back of just how I think it's so good to put yourself in those positions. Like, I think you become so much more confident. Even, again, last night, I was just like, okay, I felt uncomfortable, showed up, had such an amazing time.
Yeah.
So many good conversations, so many cool people, interesting people. Just, it was so fun. And I was like, wow, like, I'm really proud of you for not canceling because you were like, no, let's just stay home. Let's blah, blah. And like for going, even though you felt uncomfortable, and it builds that confidence and it like, you know, social confidence and like just showing up and like being asked questions and like questions you haven't been asked before and having to like think and like be vulnerable and just connect with people. And I just think that's so good and it's so healthy. And putting yourself in those kinds of situations as often as you can, it really does grow character and grow confidence. And the people on our trips that, again, are showing up and they're nervous, but by the time they leave and they board that plane to go back home, there's been so many shifts and so much growth and confidence of just like, I showed up, I didn't know one fucking person. I put myself out there and I had so much fun and like met these cool people that, again, now I feel like are friends that I'm texting with, that I might meet up with when I get back to the States. And like, I did that and I was nervous. And maybe some people who come on our trips thought about, should I just cancel? Like, I don't know. It's like, it's fun to say when it's 5 months out. But when you're boarding the plane and you're actually going and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm so scared, but you do it anyways. I don't know. There's just something so freaking powerful about that. And I just think that we should all be doing that as often as we can.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%. All I was going to say was like, kind of wrapping this all up, something else that I just have taken away from just since we've been in Parker, and you know, all in thankfulness to Derek and Jessica, to be honest with you. We've heard, as you know, the listeners of this podcast know, Kim and I do Super Gibson Soul Sunday as often as possible, and we listen to new podcasts, new people. This is how we find most of the books we read. We watch a podcast. We sit for hours and talk about what came up, what inspired you. We come up with new business ideas, new travel ideas. Some good, some bad, all of them we learn lessons from. But it all stems from that, right? Like being inspired by listening and surrounding yourself with people. And in the social media age versus 20 years ago, that whole saying of like, you are the, average sum of the 5 people you hang out with. You can even relate it to weight gain, to habits, to mindset, to all of it, right? You're the average sum of the 5 people closest to you. And the world that we currently live in, it's taken it out of the tribal mentality of like your community, your immediate city you live in, town you live in, street you live on, all that kind of stuff. And it's branched it out to social media so that you can be surrounded by 5 people that you might not know in person, but they have a big effect on your life. Now moving to Parker, meeting Derek and Jessica again and being so close, they have brought us in to this new group of people that are 5 steps higher than us in the world of business and life in general, right? Like, and what they've accomplished. And it's such a cool feeling to not only build the confidence to be able to sit at a table and be there with those people and connect, but also to learn, to listen, to ask questions, for them to ask us questions. And like, we just go back and forth. I've just had a different level leaving every one of those dinners. And it is so true with that statement of you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around with.
Yeah, I'm so, like you said, going back to the social media piece, I think I'm so intentional with what I consume online. It's so important to think about. It's so important to think about. Like when I'm watching, that's why I don't do TikTok. I'm not just fucking sitting there consuming so many people's content. Like I don't want that space taken up in my being, in my mind. Like, or I don't scroll on Instagram. I'm not a scroller. I'm very intentional. So like when I am watching stories or something, like I always want it to be like people that I feel good, right? If I'm watching their Instagram story, if I'm listening to their podcast, if I'm watching their YouTube, like it's so like what you're consuming affects your energy and how you're showing up. Like if you're just always watching like gossipy things or negative things or even just
the world is ending.
Yeah, it's like you're taking that in. Like it's like it's so, or if like, in real life, if you're just hanging out with people who are always complaining, who are always freaking negative down in the dumps, like you're just absorbing that energy. It's so important to be conscious of everything you're consuming, everything, digitally, in life, all of it. And like really surrounding yourself with people that make you feel good, that like fill up your tank, that inspire you, that make you feel good, that like ask you questions about yourself and your life and like have this beautiful back and forth like dialect that show you what's possible for your life, that add value in your life, whether that's just like you laugh with them or you're learning from them or they just make you feel good. It's just so important. I mean, if all of your friends are binge eaters, binge drinkers, like this, like you're gonna, that's naturally what you're going to be doing too. It's just a fact, right? And so, yeah, I think it's just very important to be surrounding yourself with people who make you feel good, that elevate your life and experience. And if they don't, if you walk away from people feeling drained.
Oh, thank God we're leaving.
Yeah. Or negative or just like, don't spend time with those people. If you feel like you watch people's Instagram stories and you feel that way, don't watch them.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was cool because
protect your energy.
We met one of the new couples that we didn't know last night, and they were one of the girls said, "Let's go around the table. What does everybody want more of in 2025 and less of in 2025?" Which again, like, okay, we're asking group questions and going around the table. Like,
our people.
Now, granted, it didn't make it all the way around.
No, she kept getting sidetracked with different conversations.
Which, that takes somebody to rein it in, right? And so, but they were just such good conversations. But one of the couples, newly engaged, they were looking forward to their Think Week.
They called it something else.
They did.
Vision something.
Vision Tank or something.
Yeah, I love them.
And I'm like, and again, like Kim and I have talked about this for years, but to sit across from somebody and hear them talk about it, and then it was like, it spun off to like even Nick saying like, I do vision tanks, but mine is like, let's talk for 45 minutes and then let's go hit the slopes. And then we might be able to come back. And it's just like so cool to hear people's difference of opinions that he could never just sit in a room and like, blah, like focus like that. It's like, it's so cool to hear different ways of doing things, but it was like such a inspiring thing that I feel like every time that we've gone to dinner, we end up talking in-depthly the entire way home of like just buzzing off of like the conversations that happened. And it's very refreshing and amazing. And I love it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the byproduct of like putting yourself out there, building that confidence, stepping out of your comfort zone and receiving the benefits of doing that by surrounding yourself with people that, make you feel lit up.
And also too, just being around people who it's like have what you want, right? But like are showing you
what's possible.
Like in our friend group, right? You and I are the entrepreneurial couple, like, but to be around people who are so much more advanced than us, that we're baby entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that way in a while. I'm like, whoa, like these ideas are incredible. You guys are like, it's like you're just infused with so much inspiration because they're, 5-10 steps ahead of you. And it's like, whoa, like, and so whether that's like, obviously for us, it's like our business, our dream life, like, all the things that are like we're striving for and like our big dream vision. But even like if you want to be in a relationship, right? Like surrounding yourself with people who are in healthy, positive, loving relationships and like allowing them to show you what's possible versus people who are, constantly, your girlfriends are always bitching about their relationships and it's blah, 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 like negative. Like if you want to find like a healthy, loving relationship, surround yourself with people who have healthy, loving relationships, right? Like if you want to, start a business, surround yourself with people who are like doing what you want. If you want to get healthier, surround yourself with people who are doing that too. Like it really does. It cultivates this like next level energy, and just being around that, you naturally absorb it and you start acting as such, which then you attract into your own life.
Well, not only that, like these people have played the game. They've been through ups and downs. They've learned lessons. And when you surround yourself with the types of people that are, and of course, these friends are coming as a stem of Derek and Jessica, who we really love, and just from a whole, right? Just the people that they are, just so genuine, caring, humble, and like want to help, right? And we went to a couple dinners, and in the first dinner, I already ended up with a connection to an amazing accountant that can actually help us learn and grow in our business and really understand the ins and outs. And like I would have never been able to be introduced to this guy. And this guy's playing at a high level on the accounting side of things. And now I am connected with him and we are talking via text. Like the connections and the doors that open up too, right? From being in that world
100%.
is another thing that's just like super cool. And like, I'm so blessed to be a part of.
100. Love that for everybody.
Yeah.
Put yourself in those situations that you want to be in. Be cutthroat with people who drain your energy, and put yourself in groups in real life and online of surrounding yourself with people who are elevating you. I think that's so important, especially like going into this new year, just like really being intentional with that, because it shifts who you are. It's like, yeah, anyways, we could go into like a whole thing, but I think we'll end here, right?
Yeah, no, it was a great way to start 2025. I'm excited for this year. Big plans. Travsessed, Kim and Erran.
All the things.
Mimi LaRue.
Aww.
She's got big plans for her 15th year.
So again, if you are interested in joining us on a Travsessed trip in 2025, we have one spot left for Peru, and it closes this week because we have to get our permits to hike the Inca Trail.
And we still have spots for Oaxaca.
And Oaxaca, Mexico, which we're going to be doing in September, which is another favorite trip. It's such a fun trip. So those are the only trips that we have spots available for. So if you want to join us 2025, check out one of those trips. We would love to have you join us, meet you in real life, come meet other really freaking cool people. I will say Travsessed trips attract just really cool, like-minded people. And again, I think because we have that commonality of working in healthcare, being travelers, people who want to like get out, explore the world. Majority of people are going solo, which is just takes a character to begin with. And so if come like meet cool people and go on an adventure. We would love to meet you. So you can go to our website, travsessed.com, and like check those out. And as always, we're here if you have any questions. You can always DM us on Instagram at Kim and Erran G. And with that, we will be back next week with another episode.
Perfect.
All
Happy
right.
New Year.
Toodaloo. Happy New Year.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo, motherfucker.